Hello everyone, and thank you for having me here. It's my pleasure. I'm afraid that following that wonderful music, and I personally would prefer just to sit and listen on. My talk is going to be more disruptive. I will start with a very simple question, just to test you. Do you think that the world around you is just developing without any significant changes, or is it full of new challenges, incentives? What do you think? Who thinks there are coming, waves of new questions, issues, challenges? 1, 2, 3. So many. Good. So my work today is to show you one way how to look at all those changes, because they have a lot of in common, and that's what is this talk going to be about. First of all, I'm not an economist, I'm not a lawyer, I'm just a garbage person. This is my experience over the last 35 or nearly 40 years. I'm an old piece, as you can see. It's archaeology and history. Long-term data starting maybe 12,000 years ago, and my particular experience is ancient Egypt and comparative study of civilizations. This is what I've been doing since several years. And here are the challenges. If you look at any given civilization or society in the past, you can observe quite a few common denominators. All of them had to cope with environmental changes. All of them had to cope with their elites, with resources, with the rise and fall, with legitimacy. So basically, years ago, I discovered that archaeology is quite a political thing, because they've been solving in the past most of the issues we have in front of us. So there are migrations due to environmental changes, flow of data, demography, technology, conflicts and wars. We know all this from the past. We also know that all civilizations known so far collapsed. But a collapse is not a disappearance, eradication. It's a transition. In a way, ancient Egyptian civilization, to give you an example, genetically and culturally, merged with ancient Roman, Greek, Roman, early Christian, and Islamic society. But genetically, culturally, to a certain degree, in language, it's just a continuum, starting 6,000 years ago. What is also important to state is, and is first of the 7 laws. This is the theory I'm going to offer you, how to embrace all those challenges around us. This law says that major changes happen all of a sudden. This is what Ernest Hemingway said already when they asked him how it did happen that he became bankrupt. And he said, all of a sudden. And this is what we know from history, right? 1989, take 17th of November and 29th of December. Just a couple of weeks. And the society was completely different. At the beginning, we have Václav Havel being a prisoner, and at the end, Václav Havel being a president. That's one of many examples. There's also this Heraclitus law. This is how I decided to call it, which basically says that those factors that at the beginning bring you to the peak are those that at the end eventually bring about your collapse, your problems. So quite often when we deal with major challenges, we tend to focus on them in their final stage, but the solution is at the very beginning. So you have to understand how the process started. Typically, take Gutenberg, free flow of information, on which our modern science stands, because he cut the distance for information to 3 weeks across Europe, which was something unparalleled at the end of the 15th century. And today, the real war happens through data, through flow of information, manipulation with reality. So that's typical. Or take, rise of an economic system, and at the end, all the expenses that the system has to just pay to sustain itself. The next law says that what matters for any given society is the social contract, how different groups of society communicate each other. And I'm afraid, we almost forgot that, because we have, these deep ditches, and we just shout at each other without listening. And that's one of the major critical factors. Leadership. We need leadership. We need people that inspire us. I have Steve Jobs. I have a tribesman from Polynesia. And the best definition of leadership I was able to find comes from there. It has three important components. It has mana, tohunga, and toa. Mana is something you cannot buy. You are born with it, and you know it. You are in a party, to give you an easy example, and there is somebody coming, dressed in expensive stuff, coming directly from the fitness, and you don't notice the person at all. And then comes somebody, unapparent, and all of us realize somebody entered the room. So that's mana. Then it's tohunga. It's a set of skills. Partially matter of genetics, but you can also learn it as you go. But again, you can't, unless you are a big exception like Jobs, Elon Musk, for instance. But you need a lot of time to practice. And then you have toa. It's a matter of personal attitudes, if you are really determined to achieve something. And again, partially you can have it, but you have also to learn it. So these are three very important components that every leader must have. The next law says that we are determined. Every civilization was and has been determined by technology, because the more we grow, the more complex we get, the more problems we have to solve. And the problems are getting, unfortunately, it's very unfortunate, but as we travel in time, our challenges are more and more challenging, complex, difficult to solve. And in order to succeed, we need new technologies, we need science, we need understanding. And for that, of course, to sustain this, we need to have a lot of cheap energy, because civilizations can grow and proliferate or perish. There is nothing in between. There has been never anything else. Either you grow or you collapse. So this is very important as well. And then it's the environmental change or environmental changes. And also from the past we know that either you adapt, you find new ways how to adjust your behavior. You have to respect facts. And it's basically about our century now. We have to respect facts provided by the science. We can have personal feelings and attitudes, but it's just very subjective discussion. It must be facts-based, facts-oriented discussion to understand what is happening in South America, in Greenland, in Australia, and so on and so forth. So these were the 7 laws that I published several years ago. Another and very important aspect of the current world is that we should reconsider if there is still really anything like a local matter. If these ladies have to go every day 3, 4, 5 times to get some potable water, those jerry cans are 20 liters each. Just to give you an idea, 20 liters to get and to bring to your household, maybe 5 kilometers away. 20 liters is 3 toilet splashes. It's 18 liters to be precise. So they are going that distance all the day long. And 1 jerry can is our 3 toilets. And now calculate how many times you splash, how many times you flush your toilet a day. Just 1 person. So there is, just to round up this screen, this particular screen, There is nothing local anymore, because the fact that there are 300 million people living in Africa without proper access to potable water, it's a global thing. It's not just, 5,000 kilometers away. We can feel it, because if you run out of water resources, out of energy, out of solutions for incoming problems, you have to move yourself somewhere else. That's what we call migration. It's nothing new. We know it since millennia. We came here from Africa more than 50,000 years ago. So what I want to say, there is a way how to embrace all those challenges, because I try to introduce you to the theory of 7 laws. They are general. They are not defining. But if you use them, you can understand your presence much better, I would say. It's a very good tool how to understand where we are and answer if we have problems or not. Okay? And at the same time, if we would use them, which we don't, if we would use them for better building of our society, we could achieve much better society, more sustainable. I mean, growing in reasonable dimensions, and at the same time being more friendly to the planet. Because so far, despite all successes of Elon Musk, we are still grounded. And we will still be for a couple of decades, I can tell you. So, the study of history, the way I look at it, can be, in my personal view at least, a very powerful tool how to not only look our history, because we come from there, we come from our past, how to understand our presence, because there is so much data that it's really important to understand where we stand. And if we have a diagnosis, like with a person in a hospital, we can take proper measures to decide about our future. That has to be, if anything else, sustainable, reasonable, making a sense in a long distance, long term. And we are still in the pursuit of this avenue. And we have to respond adequately to all those challenges. But to reverse my talk, don't expect from me or any of the speakers, with all respect to them, to give you solutions. It's on you, each and every one of you. We all have to take the responsibility for the world. Some of us can influence just a couple of people, family, friends. Some of you can have more global impact. But if you refrain from your responsibility, from your personal responsibility, we will never win this game against time and all those challenges that are coming both from our society, because many of the laws are mankind-driven, and also environmental challenges to which we are related in a way. That's why, and that's my conclusion, the world can be flat if we all take the effort and pain. Because of this, we have all technologies, data, knowledge, communication, power, resources to manage all those challenges. And they are coming all together in these artifacts. All of you have. So together, in a global synchronization, we can prevail eventually. But it's not on the speakers, it's not on the politicians, it's on you. Because all of you, we all together can make the world flat, in a way. This is my favorite saying coming from classical antiquity, and I think it says it all. A society grows great when old people plant trees in whose shade they shall never sit. And I wish for all of us, we would follow this antique wisdom. Thank you very much.